A big hello and welcome to all our viewers to the football show. Now, yesterday, or the wee hours of this morning, as per Indian Standard Time, was a historic day for Liverpool Football Club as they ended a 30-year barren spell to secure the English League title. And joining me for this discussion, talking about the emotions the Liverpool fans all over the world have been going through, are members of the Liverpool Mumbai Supporters Club. We have Dishant, we have Gaurav, and we have Rahul. Guys, welcome to the show. I am absolutely sure and certain that you guys must be feeling like you're on cloud nine. You guys must be delirious with joy. You guys must be on seventh heaven right now.
Thanks, Anubhav. It's been a long night. Yeah, we've been up and
It's
but some of
amazing.
the fire restrictions, so we had to go to sleep early. But it's been an amazing night, and we waited for this really long time. So we'll be fumbling for words to find, but words really can't explain what we're actually going through. It's been amazing.
I'm actually pleasantly surprised that all three of you made it. So hungover or still intoxicated?
Yeah, hungover definitely. And I can get a few beers right now if you want. But I don't think that would be advisable for the show early in the morning. Yeah.
Fantastic. So look, I mean, Liverpool throughout the season, right? They've been so dominating. The fact that they actually were confirmed Premier League winners on the 23rd of June, 26th of June, when Chelsea beat Man City 2-1. And it's been like a 1 month wait since the time you guys were confirmed Premier League champions, and the actual coronation that took place just goes to show that, you guys have been head and shoulders above every other team in the Premier League. There's been broad daylight between Liverpool and the rest of the pack. Was there any particular stage during the season when you thought that, there's no other team, regardless of how good they might be, that can actually stop us from winning the league this season?
For me, I think that the moment was probably.
I think
the
it was
Leicester
always
game.
going to be City.
Am I not audible?
Go
So
on,
last
Rahul.
time we did have last year we did have a big lead, but we ended up blowing it at some point. So the kind of complacency that kicks in when you're in a leading position, the actual pressure is on you when you're at the top of the pile, because the second team is just expected to catch you up, but you are actually supposed to defend that place. So actually having the mentality to go through the last season, getting 97 points and still losing the league, and then going back again and winning the league. I think City were the only competitors we saw this year, but I think next year we'll have a lot more competition with Chelsea strengthening their squads, United coming back into the fore, and of course Tottenham and Arsenal are still maybe a couple of seasons away from actually aiming for glory. But it's always been the big six have always been vying for the title at some point or the other.
Brilliant. And Dishant, Gaurav, as well as Rahul, we'll talk about the season. We'll talk about next season later on. But first, let's talk about the interesting stuff. So walk me through the emotions that you were feeling while you actually saw Liverpool, Jordan Henderson, right, lifting the cup. Tell us about how you guys celebrated, not just during the coronation, but also how you guys celebrated on the 26th of June when it was confirmed. This show is meant to be as candid, as conversational as possible. So feel free to spill the beans. You don't have to sound politically correct. So the more candid you are about say the lunacy in which you guys went about celebrating, the better it is.
It was all crazy for me. I think it was like
Yes, Rahul,
sorry,
go on.
Rahul,
Gaurav,
go ahead.
I'll come back to you.
Next.
Gaurav, I'll
Yeah,
come back to you.
so-
Rahul, go on. I think there's a bit of a lag, which is why there's been some issues
not a
coordinating. But Rahul, go on.
Okay. Yeah. So it was all crazy for me. I mean, waiting for that for so long, and every year we've been waiting for it, and this was finally our year, and it was still to be spoiled for a bit by COVID. So the wait was just getting longer by day. But the moment it happened, it was just crazy. Obviously we couldn't celebrate all the Liverpool fans together, which ideally we would have done in case there was no lockdown. But since there was a lockdown, I just kind of celebrated with a couple of friends in my vicinity. But yeah, that's the feeling was the same. I feel it's just not. There are not just enough words to describe the feeling at that moment, and it was just a dream come true sort of thing. So yeah. I think
Brilliant, man.
everyone felt the same. Yeah.
Rahul, I'm pretty sure you echo Gaurav. I'm pretty sure you echo Rahul's sentiments. But anything different that you did in terms of your celebrations? I believe you're in Delhi right now. You're with your wife. Is she a Liverpool fan as
Yeah.
well? Did you have family and friends to celebrate with?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, for me, I was at work out at sea, but the moment, so I was on my shift, right, when City were playing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and for the last 5 minutes, I could follow the game because my watch had just ended. Actually, like, I'm not making it up on the ship, and then I was on video call with my wife because she was the one who put the camera against the TV as my net was really horrible. And as soon as the whistle went off, the final whistle at Stamford Bridge, it was just sinking in that we have finally done what I have waited for all my life, supporting this club since for 2 decades now. And well, obviously, like you would know that the wait was excruciatingly long, and no one really believed that Liverpool would eventually win the league, especially after having so many false dawns coming so close to it. But I can't really put in words how and I'm sure all the Reds across the world felt, because we stuck by this club through thick and thin. I remember the lows of course, having being 2 or 3 days away from administration. So that really hit me. That yeah, well, finally, it's not falls down, or we have come so close yet so far, because we have experienced a lot of despair and disappointment. Even so, the last season, I was there at Anfield for the final game against Wolves, and but one thing what struck me that time was that all around Anfield and in Liverpool, of course, there was a little bit of a disappointment, right? That we did not win the league after getting to 97 points. But you could see some sort of defiance in the city. It's always been there, like whether you have it after Kiev, and that time, literally, there was no disappointment as such, only a little bit since we lost. But everyone knew with Jurgen Klopp that this team might just do it. We don't know when. They kept on, chugging away at it, and there you are. Finally, after 30 years, we are the champions of England, and
Beautifully,
nothing,
beau-
can be.
beautifully summed up, Gaurav. A lot of the emotions of joy and delirium you've described is exactly
Oh
how I
yeah.
felt 13 times that I watched United win the Premier League since the inception of the Premier League in 1992. Just some
Yeah.
friendly banter there. Dishant,
Yeah.
coming to
No,
you now.
but
Right?
you
Go on, Gaurav.
sorry. I would have had a little. Yeah, no, but you might have not experienced the despair that we
That's
have
right.
been through
Absolutely.
for, say, 22 years, or like since I started following the club, and 30 years for the city who waited for it so long. So the longer you wait, the sweeter it is. I'm pretty sure, like, United won't have to go through it after 7 years. Arsenal have already, how long has it been? 13 years now. So, of course, like, banter aside, it's always cyclical. It's our time now. Later, it might be any other team's time. It was Manchester City, who famously had the clock rolled back after those banners at Old Trafford. So every team has its own time, but right now, of course, it is just sheer joy and all sorts of emotions. Like I could just bawl my eyes out uh, just talking about Liverpool. So it is a lot more than just a victory in the league.
Brilliant. As you pointed out, it's certainly been a volatile sort of roller coaster in terms of emotions, at least. Dishant, this might not be the most fair question to ask you, right? Because it might be some sort of apples to oranges comparison, but what felt more special, the Premier League or winning the Champions League last season? Or is it hard to compare both?
So personally, the Champions League is a bigger trophy because the competition is more difficult. But I think in terms of the difficulty of achieving it, I think it's the Premier League because it's over a 38 game period, and you have to go in week out, winning games and grinding out results, and that shows a lot of perseverance in a team to actually get through. So becoming the champions of England is, I think, a lot more difficult and a more strenuating journey on the players rather than winning the Champions League, which is about 8 to 10 games and you're done. But again, you're competing against the best versus competing with around 19 other teams. It's a totally other thing. But I think last year when we won it, I thought Champions League would be bigger. But this year, I think when we won the Premier League, it definitely feels bigger than the Champions League win. Because the wait has been so long, and we wanted this for so long. It's always been the Premier League now. Yeah.
Brilliant. And how did you guys, as an official Liverpool Mumbai Supporters Club, celebrate? I was looking at your Facebook page, and there was some Zoom session that was planned during the live stream, during the match that was going on. So I'm guessing you guys all watched the game together, albeit virtually. And
So
I'm pretty sure it's fun watching the game together, as well as the celebrations that must have followed.
Every game, yeah, since the lockdown, we've been trying to do Zoom sessions, and we've been watching the games together. So it's more, the experience is more of it's an experience that we're looking for rather than the game itself. So even when we meet for the screenings, it's just just chanting and losing your voice, and it's the sheer joy of singing the same songs with your fellow Reds. It's the same thing that's been on in the Zoom session. Of course, not as intense because
Right.
we're at our home environment, and we have to be a little bit decent. So, but it's been good. We've been trying to make it as lively as possible. Yesterday, we did have some outside guest who was not invited, but there's always time for banter in between games as well. So yeah, we've been hosting these screenings, and the celebrations weren't as wild as we thought it would be. But given the circumstances, we can't blame anyone for that.
Absolutely. But talking about celebrations, talking about the wildness of the celebrations, right? I'm going to ask you guys for your opinion on who do you think must have celebrated the most wildly amongst all the members in that Liverpool dressing room, not counting Klopp, because I'm pretty sure Klopp, hands down, is probably the wildest amongst everyone out there. But who else springs to mind? I was looking at some of the videos on the Liverpool YouTube channel prior to the chat. I saw all of them entering the dressing room right after the game ended. I saw Andy Robertson, being his usual animated self. But apart from that, who do you think are the crazy characters in the Liverpool dressing room who must have made sure to leave no stone unturned when it comes to celebrating after the win last night?
I think it's Bobby Firmino. He would have gone crazy. I saw him spray painting.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, I think it's Bobby.
Yeah.
It's definitely Bobby.
Yeah, and did you see his glasses?
I saw his glasses.
And did you see his glasses? Like,
the yellow ones, right? Yellow, or was it pink?
They're red.
yeah.
Red
No,
ones,
the
right?
red ones. Yeah. Yeah, before the ceremony, he was wearing a red glasses. Yeah. So yeah.
And
I was just about to say that. Like,
but
yeah,
Bobby
he
Firmino,
would
because
probably
of
be the one.
the fact that he's Brazilian, I know Brazilians can be these feisty characters. They love to have a dance, a jig, a song. Is that one of the reasons? He just seems like a very happy-go-lucky, playful sort of character as well, doesn't he?
He is, yeah. So he's always been that way, and you'll never see him without a smile on his face.
Yeah.
So Bobby, I think he's a blessing for us
Yeah.
in terms of the player he is on the pitch, and maybe the dressing room presence itself, because he lightens the mood, and the things he can do. Of course, the celebrations with Sadio Mane and Bobby Firmino doing things. It's just fun to watch.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And tell me a bit
Exactly.
about next
Excuse me.
season
Sorry.
as well. So of course it's you guys have been dominant this season, right? It was a case of so close yet so far last season. Of course, you'll see lots of teams bolstering or strengthening their squads before next season. Man City will come back with a vengeance. Who knows? United might be one of the candidates as well, given the strong showing since the lockdown ended. But do you think it's going to be as easy next season? What do you think could be some of the chinks in your armor? What do you think you have to strengthen before going into next season?
Ye-
So I think, yeah, that's always the case. I mean, winning the league is one thing, but getting retaining it the next year is even more difficult, and I think that's what's going to happen next season. And considering United and especially Chelsea, how they are buying star players, it's going to be really competitive next season. And Man City is always there. I mean, you can never really underestimate that team. Like you saw how ruthless they were when they were playing Liverpool. So you can never really underestimate that team. So it's going to be a fierce competition next season for sure. So yeah, I really doubt it to be like this easy or like this smooth a victory for Liverpool next season. So yeah, really looking forward to the next season and the competition next season.
Absolutely. I also want to touch upon your
Yeah.
personal experiences of having perhaps been to England, watched some of the games as well. I know Gaurav, for one, has definitely been. You mentioned this on the chat. Plus, your WhatsApp DP is you in the away section of this is St James's Park, right? When Newcastle play, this is when that's where Liverpool are going to be playing the last game of the season
Oh
as well.
yes.
So talk to me about some of the
That one.
away days. Like, what's it like watching the
Yeah.
games with the away
Yeah.
fans, or perhaps at Anfield, in case you guys have had those experiences? Tell us more.
Yeah. So, for me, each and every game that I've been to, it always feels like the first time. Like the joy you get, the match day routines, it's just amazing. So, the first ever game I had been to was a couple of years ago, finally, after supporting the team for so long, because I was studying in the UK at that point of time. So, the first ever game was against a small little team from the red half of Manchester. Uh, but again, that was the time when Mourinho was there, and I was witness. So I was not sitting far away from the away section. I was at the Annie Road end for the first ever game, and I witnessed De Gea absolutely make a blinder of a save from Joel Matip at point blank. That was the only bit of action in the game. It was 0-0. And then, of course, the next two games I went to in the very same season, that was against Everton. I was witness to the Salah Worldie, and of course, the penalty which Lovren gave away on Calvert-Lewin. And then, of course, I was also witness to a very drab draw against West Brom. It was 0-0. But my wife, she's a fellow Liverpool supporter, and she got over there, and her first game along with me against Leicester City, we won. So like we came back from being 1-0 down to winning 2-1 after Salah scored a brace. That was unfortunately Phil Coutinho's final game for us. And Van Dijk was in the house at that point of time after just being signed from Southampton. So yeah, like she changed the luck, and after that, it has just been an incredible journey. I became a supporter of this club because of the supporters. So when I finally got to stand on the cop, that was the moment my dream actually came, true. Because I started supporting the team not because of anything else. I did not know the history of the club. When I started, United were the top dogs, winning absolutely everything. The treble season, 98, 99. So everybody you spoke to from that particular generation, especially from India, we did not know much about the history or how the clubs were like. But United were, of course, popular since they were winning. And for me, something just struck that even after losing a game or playing really bad and not winning the game, I could still hear the cop on the television just going at it towards the end of the game. And I was like, okay, that is something I want to be a part of, because you never really leave uh, like your team, no matter what stage at which they are. So So yes, later on, of course, I got to know the history, and the first game against Manchester City on the Kop, where I was standing, was 4-3. It was amazing. Towards the end, it was just a little bit scary for us. I wouldn't deny that. Like, we were all really nervous and crossed fingers, legs, whatever we could get, and in the end, made it. I think that was one of the first games where you definitely knew that there was something special about this team. The 4-3 at Anfield. It was amazing. And it has just
Absolutely.
been an amazing ride thereafter. Being the only away game I have been to was Newcastle. And again, Origi scoring in the last minute. That all the amazing, like, feelings what you get, especially being close to the home supporters. The banter was at another level. And of course, at St. James Park, you have to climb up the stairs all the way to the
Right.
skies to get up there. So that was another story in itself. But yeah, all the
It's so
match day
funny.
experiences, you can't really substitute it. And
Gaurav, it's so funny you
yeah,
mentioned that about St James's
yeah,
Park,
yeah, go ahead.
because whenever on TV, I see say the away team having scored a goal. After having scored the goal, I see all of their players, when they're looking to celebrate with the fans, or looking towards the fans. I see them like
Yeah,
quite literally looking at the heavens. That's how high it is. The away section at St James's Park.
yeah,
Gaurav, I wanna touch upon something that you mentioned. You talked
yeah,
about how after that 4-3 win against Man City, you felt that there was something special about this squad, right? Let's just shed a bit more light
yeah,
on what makes this squad special. And as an outsider, as a neutral, right? Let me tell you my observations,
mm,
and then I would love to hear from Dishant, Rahul, as well as you on what you guys feel as well. Now, I truly feel that one of the reasons, right,
yeah,
behind the success that Liverpool has had over the last few years, right, has been the fact that the 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 bonding or the camaraderie within the group is second to none. It's truly like a family, and the biggest binding force, or that adhesive that sticks everyone together, is Jurgen Klopp. He's more than just a coach. He's a brilliant man manager. A lot of people might not realize that what man management is as important in football coaching or cricket coaching as well, right? If not more important than the tactical side of things. And Jurgen Klopp has nailed down both the tactical side of things as well as how to do man management. Every single player's interview that I've seen, be it Trent Alexander-Arnold, be it Jordan Henderson, the captain, talking about Klopp, be it any player, they speak of Klopp as if he's a fatherly figure, someone they can talk to about life and not just about football. He's making sure to, be in touch with them throughout the lockdown, ask them about how their family is doing, making sure that he's adding these small personal touches or small gestures, which might on paper seem inconsequential or trivial, but when done so repeatedly over a long enough period of time, the compounding effect of all of these small yet very touching gestures can be immense, absolutely immense and gargantuan, right? So tell me a bit more about how you guys think, right, Klopp has completely changed the dynamic at Liverpool Football Club, how he's built these strong relationships between all the players, such that now the different parts come together like a beautifully well-oiled machine.
Yeah. So you said
yeah.
he's bonded the players.
So
It's not exactly just the
yeah,
players.
go
He's
ahead,
brought
Dishant.
together everyone at the club. Be it from the ladies who cook the meals for the
Right, right.
players, to the housekeeping staff, to the ground staff, to the fans. He's brought everyone together, and that's a strong bond that he's created. With all the stakeholders that are required to support a club, and he's instilled ethics into the players. And I think that is the most important thing, because footballers are generally very egoistic. You'll see a lot of footballers who don't like things that don't go their way, and
Right.
he's managed to move aside all those egos. So he forced, when he came in, he forced the players to clean their tables after they ate it. So that is the kind of humility that he's brought to them, and he's very passionate about things. So there's a lot of attention to detail that goes in. Nobody really cares about throw-ins, even though that is the most commonly taken set piece in a football match. But he's brought in a coach especially for throw-ins, and you've seen where we've gone from conceding goals from throw-ins to actually scoring goals. So he's taken those small points and he's made such a big impact on the club. It's only because he's passionate about it. So one of the games I think we had lost, and this was during the festive season, and all the players were just almost dead from exhaustion and sad from losing that game. But he invited all the players over to his house and he threw a Christmas party for them. So that is the kind of bonding that he gets in, and you can see that even the squad players who don't generally play are not complaining. They don't come out and be vocal that we're not playing, trying to quit and stuff like that. So he's doing something right where he's talking to the players, he's talking to them about that, and he cares about them. So he cares about their future. So even for a player like Shaqiri, who doesn't feature as much, he's just as an integral part to the team as probably anyone in the starting 11, because he can step in. And I think the Manchester United game where he came and scored a brace, I think that was it just shows that when they can be, if they're needed, they can just stand up and they can deliver. So he's brought that cohesiveness to the team, and I think Klopp, as you said, has been the most important person. I think in this jigsaw puzzle.
100%. And I personally can't think of a man who's, in a matter of how long has it been? He came in 2014, 2015, right?
2015,
About
right?
2015, right? In a matter of 4 to 5 years, right?
Yeah.
In a matter of 4 to 5 years, right? Is loved so much by a particular city. Of course, you have like the likes of Kenny Dalglish, Steven Gerrard, but they've been a part of the Liverpool family for so many years, for decades, multiple decades, right? But a man like Jurgen Klopp comes in 2015. I think in 2016 he probably says something like, we'll win the Premier League in 4 years. Delivers the goods, right? Delivers on his promise, and now is an absolute legend in Merseyside, in Liverpool at least.
God.
So I think it also I think it also matters the passion that he shares. Like that's the Liverpool feeling, and that's one of the things which drives all the players. He's sort of a fatherly figure as well. Like every time a player comes in or leaves the pitch, he's hugging the players. He's sort of a fatherly figure in all aspects. Yeah, like shouting at them, he's mentoring them, he's talking to them, he's hugging them, he's crying with them. That picture came after the 2019 Champions League when Henderson and Klopp, they were both crying at the same time, hugging after they won it. So that sort of feeling, that sort of passion is what is what Liverpool is all about, and that's why he's such a major figure at Liverpool, even when he wasn't winning in the initial 2-3 years, but still that impact, that passion that people saw in him was what made everyone believe in him, and even for that matter the players believed in him. So I think that's what is he Klopp all about.
Superb. And Gaurav, you were saying something as well?
So like both of them said, he has gotten something special. And the best bit about it, I was actually worried when Klopp was at Dortmund that he would go to United. That time United were looking for a new coach, and thank God for his wife, because of whom he rejected the job and he waited for Liverpool to come along.
What's the story? Tell us.
But
I didn't know about this story.
Honestly, though,
what did his wife say?
Okay, you did not. He was being quoted by United as a replacement for Ferguson at the time. He was still at Dortmund, of course, and he respected his contract. But his wife actually said that you have to reject United and wait for the right club to come along. And as soon as Liverpool came along, she pointed him to the right direction. She said, that is the club for you. So like he has always said, his wife is to thank for everything what he has achieved at Liverpool. I'm not sure that all the United supporters would like it, but it's simply amazing. And of course, coming back to it, what a man. You cannot I know many of them, for banter's sake, they'll come up with new things, but as a person, as a man, who solely speaks from his heart, there is no one better than Jurgen Klopp right now in the Premier League. And I'm not just saying it as a manager of a Premier League club. Put aside all the rivalries put aside that we are from like we support Liverpool and somebody else might support, say, United or Everton. But what he has done, when he speaks, yesterday I was listening to the commentators and they were saying that everyone listens. No matter what your allegiance may be, you might like it or not, but he speaks from the heart. And that is
Absolutely.
what is the most important thing. That's what makes him human. And like he said, he's the normal one, right? So just amazing. And of course, and it's not that it's always good. There's a bond at Liverpool. There always has been. All the successful teams from the 70s, 60s, from Shankly's time till now, there has always been a special connection between the manager and the supporters. And Jurgen Klopp gets that. He absolutely gets it. He just doesn't say everything is okay. Like he just doesn't say, okay, fine, our supporters are great all the time. He even goes against the supporters when he feels. So when he came into England, when we were not doing as well, towards the end of the games, people used to leave because they had to get out of the parkings early or catch the train or take the bus. So
Right.
the
Right.
stadiums, they used to empty out before the final whistle. He did not like it one bit, and he was angry about it. The next match day program notes, he actually said that, this is what I don't like in Germany. They actually stay right till the end of the game, and the cop responded to that.
Oh wow.
After that, you would not see many people going out before the game ended. So this connection, the back and forth between the supporters and, of course, Jurgen Klopp has been the heart of what we have achieved. Without the supporters, Liverpool is nothing. The city lives on football, and this special bond, like Liverpool gets the Scousers. The Scousers are, of course, a little bit different from the rest of England. Of course, there's a whole history to it, right? Because the city, keep the politics aside, was put into like a managed decline in the 70s and 80s. And of course, nobody liked people from the city all across England. It's still there. It's still there. But the amazing, like, how readily Jurgen Klopp just got the city. It's incredible. And that's why if you go to Liverpool, you ask anyone, be it Evertonian or, a blue or a red, they'll always say, like, he just good things about Jurgen Klopp. He's very
Same.
well
Same.
respected
I
in the
mean,
city.
I'll
And of course, what he has done. Yeah.
I'll say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
As someone who actually admires big personalities, as someone who looks up to people who say it how they see it, someone people who don't mince their words, people who have the courage and the audacity to speak their mind and to speak objectively, right? I respect them a lot, and Jurgen Klopp is certainly someone who checks
Yes.
all of those boxes for me. I enjoy watching every not just in the recent past, ever since Liverpool clinched the title, but all throughout the season. I made sure that even if I didn't watch a Liverpool game, right, I made sure to actually watch Jurgen Klopp's post-match interview with the Sky Sports team or maybe the club media staff, only because I loved the passion with which he spoke. And I still remember this was maybe a couple of seasons back in 2017 or 2018. I watched a
Yeah.
post-match interview of his. This was after Liverpool drew against Everton, and that's the most furious I've ever seen
Yeah.
him. And I still remember, and I think he probably regretted having done that. He, made a
Yeah.
personal remark about the interviewer midway through the interview. But at the end of the
Yeah.
interview, this was literally
Yeah.
a minute and a half after making that personal insult, that jibe, he still apologized on camera, looking at the camera, to the Sky Sports team and to the interviewer. So it just goes to show that, what, even though sometimes he might let his emotions get the better of him because of his passion, he
Yeah.
still will always go down the correct objective path. And he's a man of values, a man of principles.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brilliant, brilliant.
You can see
Dishant,
that
yeah,
you could see that even in the the defense that he brought for Wayne Rooney. When Wayne Rooney was actually photographed, getting drunk at a party, and the interviewers had asked him about what his opinion was on that. And if it would have been any other manager, they would have probably just laid down on Wayne at that point of time. But Jurgen Klopp instead stood up to defend him, saying that this generation of professionals have, they're the most professional footballers you ever been, and the legends that you worship have drunk like crazy, have they smoke like crazy, and so even though Wayne is definitely from one of the biggest rivals, rather, he goes down and defends the player because it's in him. So that goes to show that it's not just football, but even outside it, he can be a humble person, and he is just a normal person. And he goes on to iterate that even footballers are just people, at the end of the day. So the act that they have to put up in the name of professionalism is it's something that goes the media takes it a long way, but
Absolutely.
it just shows Jurgen Klopp is not the kind of a person who will just lay it down to someone just because they're from a rival club or something. But he actually respects people for what they are and what they do.
100%. 100%. And to sum up, I
Nice.
want to know from you guys, any particular chinks in the armor that you see currently in the Liverpool squad? Anyone you feel might end up leaving? Any risk that you foresee before heading into the next season?
Yeah, there
I
are a couple of
think it
players
is
who are
always going to be the midfield.
Okay.
Because we don't have, let's say, after the first squad, the first team, right? Uh, we don't have enough as backup, and of course, in the current climate, where all the clubs are affected by, of course, what is going around, since almost all the football clubs except your City and Chelsea, maybe, who can spend in this financial climate. But then, of course, after our first team, it is not that much of experience and depth. We have got quality. We have got amazing youngsters coming through the academy right now. But when you look at City's bench or even Chelsea's bench, when they have someone like Pulisic come off the bench to completely change the game, or at City where you have hundreds of millions of dollars just wasting the time on the bench. With Liverpool,
Exactly.
we cannot afford that. We run on a completely different model. So, of course, that is there. But then the club has come out and said, of course, we cannot buy anyone unless someone goes. So when Lalana leaves, or if you see Ginny, like I don't know what is the contract situation with him right now. He might be on his way. Of course, I want him to stay because people don't realize his importance in the team, the way he keeps the ball moving around. Uh, so I want him to stay. But if he goes, and if Milner gets an offer from Leeds United, which was his boyhood club, of course,
Yeah.
and now they are back in the Premier League, we'll be short on experience in the midfield. And if one or two players get injured, then that will be our downfall over there, because this team desperately needs someone like Henderson. You can see the difference when Henderson doesn't play. Our intensity goes down a little. We need that one leader on the pitch. I know Van Dijk does a very good job at leading from the back, but in the midfield, like the engine room, we definitely need some really strong characters. We already have them, but we need a few more of them. And of course, up front, we can do more with backup for Mane, Firmino, and Salah. But then again, when we go to find backups for them, it's not easy convincing people to come and sit on the bench, because they know Salah, Mane, and Firmino will be starting almost each and every game
Right.
because they are fit as well. They don't miss many games together. So it's a very tricky situation. But then we have got good backup. I don't know what the situation would be with Ryan Brewster when he gets back at Liverpool, whether he'll continue his loan spell at Swansea, where he's doing amazingly well, or will he be sent out to gain more experience next season, because Championship and the Premier League are a completely different ball game, different intensity. So let's see. For me, I wouldn't be worried much about what they can do with the chinks in the armor, because what I have come to learn with Jurgen Klopp especially is that he can take anyone whom we don't expect to do well, and he just brings about the best in them. And it is very hard for those very same players when they go away from Liverpool to perform at same level. We have seen the struggle. Coutinho is
Yeah.
the biggest example of that. So obviously, like Jurgen Klopp has got something extra special about him. I'm sure Rahul and Dishant would agree with that. That he makes good players even better. He makes them world class, and that is the hallmark of an extremely good coach.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Because,
I think Rahul would
Mm.
want to add
I
to
think
that,
two
or
of
no?
our starting 11
Yeah,
have
Like,
I think I remember Neville. I'm not sure if it was some rival, rival supporter or rival, ex-player who mentioned that Klopp has just been fantastic. He's making like players worth who were bought for like 8 to 10 million, players worth like 50 millions
That's right. Gary
currently,
Neville.
and players who were bought for like 50, 60 are now worth like 100 million. So even though Van Dijk, when we bought him, seemed quite expensive, but like I'm sure, like if any club wants to buy him, or if there is an amount to him, it has to be much higher than what we paid for him. And similar is for the example of Salah, Mane. They were all around 35, 40 million range, and we all know what they would be worth today. And if we go to the the low range, it's like Robertson, where we bought him for like 8 to 9 million pounds, and it's just difficult putting a price at him right now. So yeah.
Right. And other clubs seem to be doing the opposite. You look at someone like a Harry Maguire bought for 80 million, but he looks like a 10 million player. By saying 10 million, I'm actually being generous to him. Dishant, you were saying?
Yeah, so I think if you see three of our players, or rather, two in the starting 11 are directly, from relegated teams. So you can see the transformation he's brought about in Andy Robertson and Gini Wijnaldum, where
Yeah.
they used to play for Newcastle and they used to play for Hull City. But when they got relegated, he bought them for bargain money, and now they're world class players. Just assisting the hell out of the team. So and plus, of course, the academy itself is doing well with Trent coming in a couple of years ago to now Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott and stuff like that. They're there. The youngsters are there. They're waiting for their opportunity to jump through the fence. So I think the future is very bright, and it's all on Klopp because, as Gaurav said, you won't find a striker who will want to play or compete with Mane, Firmino, and Salah, because they're not gonna let up. Firmino, even if he doesn't score goals, he's been Liverpool. He has been Liverpool. He is what makes the team tick, and leadership of Henderson is something that will be very hard to replace. When Gerrard left, we had Henderson, and of course, it was very big of people to expect him to fill Gerrard's boots, which is rather impossible. But rather, he transformed into Henderson and he showed the world what he can do. So finding someone like him would be very hard. He's vocal. He lays down to players when they mess up. So there's a big difference that he makes. He may not be statistically as sound as any other player, or you may see that he doesn't score any goals, he doesn't assist anything, but what he brings to the team is something very different. So there are a few positions, yes, for next season which we would like to look at. Maybe left back. Andy Robertson doesn't have a backup. Yasser Larouci was there, but I think he's going out now. So a left back is there. Definitely a striker. But again, a striker who would want to come and play for Klopp. That is the only thing we can look for, because they're not getting any game time with the front three. And maybe a couple of midfield players, because Lallana is moving out, and maybe Milner, which is completely understandable. But in case if Milner stays, I'll be extremely thrilled and to have him for another year maybe. But yeah, midfield, left back, and maybe a forward. That's where we need to go.
And talking about a replacement for Andy Robertson, you guys fancy Brendan Williams? I'd be happy to offload him from United.
Oh.
Nico Williams is a good lad. Like
yeah, but he's
I don't know about.
Yeah, he's on the right back. So yeah, he's already a replacement for Alexander Arnold. But yeah, I think we need someone on the left back as well.
Yeah.
But you know what?
But
Even if Liverpool does field only 10 players and are missing a left back, such is the energy that those 10 players will have, that they'll probably make up for the lack of a player. Such is the vitality that
so
Liverpool has shown throughout the season, and the bottomless reserves
So
that they've
that's why
had.
I would totally agree to Deshant that we would miss Milner, because Milner was sort of player we could literally play him anywhere. He would play left back, he would play left mid, he would also play defensive midfielder. So he was like such a player, like you can post him anywhere and he would just make sure he's putting in his best effort and he's just right there. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Milner is a coach's dream. Like absolutely, if you give him goalkeeping gloves, I'm pretty sure he'll fill in very well for Allison as well. So that's the kind of player. But let's see if we get a replacement for him. But I have no complaints about this team at all. Like the thing is that is what Klopp has done, right? He has made us little less worried about who comes in, who goes out. Every team that he puts out, whether it is youngsters or whether it is experienced players, they'll give their all for him, whether we
Absolutely.
lose and whether it is if we don't win or perform that well. You simply know that the next game, or the players like themselves, they give the 110% for Klopp, no matter what. Even it is just amazing what this team is like. What we are witnessing right now is just amazing, and I'm pretty sure if we ask people from the era of Shankly, Paisley, who used to watch the games, that's what they used to instill in the team. They used to instill that confidence through the club. That did not matter. You would always get that with Liverpool. Like we never went out and bought like amazingly expensive players. Of course, with Kenny, we did get after Keegan went to Hamburg, but general, you'll see the players, we keep them as a family. And this team, well, I have absolutely no complaints. I'm just overwhelmed with joy whenever I watch these play, whenever it is, be it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or every other Saturday. It is just
Brilliant,
incredible.
guys.
And of course, I would love to again be there, and when it is a better time for the trophy celebrations in Liverpool. Last season it was amazing. It was one of my dreams coming true. And I couldn't watch the game in Madrid, of course. We couldn't get the tickets, but just to be in the city, to be a part of 250,000 people, and where you have got all the blues, reds, no matter what, coming out on the streets and just supporting, just being in awe of this wonderful team. I just want that to happen again, because it will be in a very big way when the world gets better and we don't have the restrictions due to the COVID-19 situation right now. But it will be one amazing party. And of course, I look forward to if not Anfield or if not Liverpool, then enjoying it with my fellow Reds from Mumbai, because
Absolutely.
each and every one of them has become like a family to me. Due to my work, of course, I cannot go to each and every game, but ev- ev- even during the times I used to be low, they were just family. Like every screening or every game we get together for, it's you just forget all your worries. And for those 90 minutes you are a big red, happy, or sometimes disappointed or frustrated, but a huge family. And shout out to all the Reds from Mumbai. And wherever I go in the world, you'll always find you can connect with so many people and make so many new friends just because you're a Liverpool supporter. It's just a family thing.
Beautiful, man.
So
Beautiful.
yeah, sorry, I got a bit carried away over there.
Oh no, that's totally fine. I was listening with rapt attention, but look, it's your moment, right? There are multiple families, not just in Liverpool, but families all over the world who certainly have been celebrating non-stop since the 26th of June. Of course, the bulk of the celebrations probably took place last night. But carry on, continue the celebrations. Of course, it's a massive, massive achievement. If that wasn't evident based upon the emotions that all of you displayed. Thank you so much for joining us on our networks on One
Yeah.
Play Sports. And we'll look forward to having many more conversations such as these in the future as well. And keep celebrating. And hopefully we can have another football show in the future.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Cheers,
Thanks, man.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
You too.
Definitely. It was amazing talking to you guys as well. Yes. Thanks a lot. And you'll never walk alone.